You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona Lewis, and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done. Hi-ho, kids. Welcome to another fabulous podcast of Biz-Souls.
And that was not a reference to Snow White movie, which is out, and there's a lot of talk about it. We get to the heart and soul. You said a hi-ho.
Oh, I did say hi-ho. Holy crap. I should probably listen to what I'm saying.
And You're peeking the microphone. You're all over the place. We get to the heart and soul of business and the people that make it happen. And
it's just us today.
It is
no one
just
exciting, just us. So,
hey, wait a second. We're exciting.
Well, I am. Just ask me. I will tell you. So listen, guys. I read this awesome article in Fast Company. I think it came out in February by I'm assuming it's Jan Bruce as opposed to Jan Bruce, and it's all about managing. And what they wrote is that managers are kind of disappearing. Nobody wants to be a manager.
And what was the title
anymore.
of the article?
Managers are not okay. Why we're headed to a manager crash in 2025, and it's what it's saying overall, and I can see it, is that, you know, managers are really starting to crash and burn. They're at their stretching point, and the next generation, Gen Z, don't want to do it.
Right. Well, if you remember our AI, we talked about AI the other time.
Yeah.
And that is the group. Managers are one of the group that's going to get cut. So it looks like they're self-cut.
Yeah. Well, so I have some. There's some good. Thank you. Yeah, that wasn't the word. That's the word I'm thinking of. Yeah. So in 2023 alone, middle managers made up over a third of all layoffs. So that makes the ones who are left over under more pressure, and managers experience 59% higher emotional demands than their team members. So, especially with the pandemic, you know, they were isolated, and they're actually 12% less likely to receive support when they needed it. So they were just kind of screwed all around.
Right, and that makes sense though, because when they're a manager, the person above them, the director, usually thinks they can take care of this stuff. So there's the assumption that they're put in that place because they're completely competent. And the article is saying that they're not, exactly, because it's Gen Z, and a lot of them are coming with some missing skill sets.
There's a lot, yeah. And you know, I always tease and say the younger generation comes in expecting to be president or vice president because they know how to code. And I'm kidding, but I'm really not, because there are certain skills that need to be learned in terms of communication styles and resilience, and a lot of the, and how to speak to their employees, their team members, to build them up, and to understand that sometimes managers have to take the heat.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, even if they've got a college degree or they've got...
I don't think that...
Well, no, even college teaches theory about management.
Yeah.
They're not teaching the emotional part. They're not getting it. I mean, they talk about politics.
Yeah.
Until you live that stuff, office politics, you really don't know what's going on. And you would think everybody to be one for all and all for one, because obviously, you know, you want the company to do well, except everybody's got their own little fiefdom, and they've got and that's got to be trying and tiring.
Absolutely. And you know, this newer generation that is starting to come into their own, they are very concerned with and rightly so, with their well-being.
Right.
So they don't want to have an 80-hour week. You know, they don't want to make sure everyone else is okay in front of themselves, like putting themselves last. So there's a lot of pressure.
Right. And for baby boomers, which I was on the tail end of the baby boomers,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, the group ahead of me, the Tom Peters group, the In Search of Excellence group, Tom Peters literally said, there is no balance in life. Forget it. If you want to be successful in business, there is no balance.
Are you drinking bubbly water again?
No,
okay.
it was the pizza I had earlier. Anyway, And he said that you're going to work 80, 90 hours a week. So then when I was going through, I was listening to that and I'm going, yeah, I'm sorry. Companies aren't backing. I mean, they didn't back my father, you know. The idea was that we'll move you here, we'll take care of your life. And then, you know, they were canceling pensions and everything else.
Nobody stays in companies that long.
And so,
or very few.
What was the generation after the boomers? I always
Gen X.
Gen X. So Gen X was a little less committed to the company and to the idea of sacrificing your body, you know, for the company, your body and mind for the company. And so it's just about right that Gen Z is in that mode that's saying, hey, you know, what's in it for me?
Yeah. And it's, you know, they would rather go solo than be a manager.
Well, and you can go solo. There's so many solo jobs now because of the internet.
Well, yes, and I don't think they realize. I mean, you and I have our own business, and you know, we do everything from soup to nuts. There is no 9 to 5. There is no 4-day work week, and then I'm gonna go skiing for the weekend. Although you do sometimes. And on the other hand, you know, I've called you at 10 o'clock at night, and you're here working.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't know if they realize that the hours do add up. It's just in a different configuration.
Right.
You know.
By the way, I saw this interesting statistic I was going through. You know how things pop up on TikTok. Yeah. This gal decided to do a study on how many people were doing fans only pages. Now,
right.
First, it's women. It's women between 18 and like
24.
And
he showed it to me. That's why I'm not on only.
1.8 million
work on it. Yeah, it's their side gig.
And out of that, in that age group, there are only 10 million, and the majority are women. Right. There are only 10 million that are women in that group. So literally
10%.
20%.
Now, 10% of American women 18 to 24 have an OnlyFans page.
And the money comes from the guys in that age group. And
no,
like
it's
60%. 60%.
It's not in the age group. It's just men.
Oh, it's just men.
There are 162 million men in the United States, I believe, and like 80 million of them are on OnlyFans.
And they are, you know, they're
most
making
of them,
money.
Yeah, and most of them, by the way, are married.
The guys watching.
The guys are married. Yeah. Because you're just looking.
Well, and a lot of the fans only, what do you call them, participants,
yeah.
They have partners that are perfectly understandable in this. And the reason is...
I'm not judging, I'm just saying, it's just a statistic.
Anyway, so that was a little sidebar, and it was about, you know, there are all kinds of individual gigs you can do. You can use UGC, we talked about that, that's going to come out. It's actually going to air next week.
User-generated content.
And then you've got affiliate marketing.
Right. And then, I mean,
kind of replaced
there's even like driving Lyft and Uber. If you're not going to get, you know.
And that's a single thing. You don't have to manage anybody. You just manage yourself and you make your own choices.
So.
Plus Fiverr and all those things.
Right. So there's. Yeah. There's a lot more they can do. And that's why there is, at this point, there's kind of a dearth of managers. And part of what the solution is that companies have to address the workload. They have to address the pace, because from what I've read, like, you know, and I'm very familiar with this, I used to sell time.
Right.
You know, and time is not exactly in abundance. And when, you know, for me, if you can't sell that time, whether it's radio, television, or newspapers or cable, whatever, you can never get that time back. And it's the same thing with these managers. If they can't get their ducks in a row, they've lost it. So upper management needs to allow for some training for them to learn how to pace themselves, how to work smarter, maybe take classes in project management, you know, whatever it is, and, you know, show the Gen Z people ways to do this so they won't be overwhelmed.
Well, and you and I are both in training, so we love the idea that they could use training.
Heck yeah.
And we know and do programs that could help them.
Yeah.
So let me push back on this whole idea.
Okay.
Because the only way they can...
I was pushing back.
HR?
I touched him.
She touched me.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
She's touching me. But they,
See, now he's totally lost his train of
I have
thought.
lost my train of thought because I had to go through my whole childhood just in 2 seconds. So the thing is, though, is you've got, if you want to invest that in them, now you're investing more money in them. Plus, they want to get paid well. And they should be paid well for being managers and what they're doing. And so you've got to make the money. There's got to be the production and to pay for that. There has to be if you're not making extra profits by putting this into it. See, and that's the one part I had with this article when you brought it to me, is that the idea is we have to take care of the managers. Well, wait a second. Those resources are coming from somewhere, and somebody's I'm sure is going to shout out while they're listening to this, well, the CEO shouldn't make that much money.
Well, but it's the whole, it's EX, it's the employee experience. Managers are employees. So you have to make it worthwhile for them, as well as Gen Z, that if you want the next generation to lead, it shouldn't be a punishment.
Absolutely. And it shouldn't be a punishment. It's just that if push comes to shove, if push comes to shove, I think that they're going to go with automation. I think companies will go with automation in this case. I have a choice of getting somebody in that's going to be, delicate and sensitive and worried about working too much, or I could invest some extra money up front and get a robot and AI and everything else to do this work.
But I think AI helps a lot. It helps with what we do. It's definitely saves me time. It's not a human. There is no empathy. You will never have that connection. There is no trust with AI. ChatGPT can make mistakes.
Oh, it makes it all the time.
So
and everything's getting better and improving. Did you see the Boston Robotics?
Oh yeah,
oh my God,
the one that was like doing gymnastics and stuff.
Oh, it was amazing, and it was fluid.
Yeah,
the pace of this stuff, and then if you combine that with AI and the voice.
We digress.
Well, yes and no.
But I'm going to stick with it. There has to be a way to continue the human element in business.
Absolutely agree, because let me see, I was trying to get service, got some products that have got some issues. We can talk about those in another podcast. And it was AI, virtual assistant. Do you
want to mention the...
No, I don't want to mention the name on this one. I'll wait till the next one.
Okay.
When we talk about it in depth. And
stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yeah, exactly. And the AI asked me, what's the product number, what's the serial number, what's the model number, all this stuff. I give that, and then it goes, oh, I can't answer your question. I'm going to give you to a live agent. And then they give it to the live agent, and guess what? The live agent has to ask the same stuff. Didn't it not transfer over? No, it didn't. Oh, this is frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't connected things incredibly well. But yeah, so you know what? Would you guys take a management job right now? I don't know if I would. I mean, I did. I could. I would have to be paid very well. And I think I would agree. It would have to be a place that values all employees, not just here, do it. Here's 30 people and you have to get a project done in a week and a half. Go.
Okay. So now I know you're talking about this from the article standpoint. And it's great. So I just had a class with a guy who's middle manager.
Okay.
And he's running a production crew. Yeah. Kind of. And he sees the whole thing as a challenge and learning things. And it was like, trial by fire. He's having to
positive intelligence.
He's having to negotiate with the union. He's having to figure out how to communicate to other people.
It could be fun.
And he's some of the conversations got contested, and he was like, he handled it well. And he said, how can I get better at this stuff? And so that's how he ended up in class.
And he's a unicorn.
So do you believe he's a unicorn?
I do. Well, can I ask how old he was, ish?
Yeah, he's 28.
Yeah, I do think he's a unicorn. I don't know how many, and if I'm wrong, guys, write it in the comment. I would greatly appreciate it. I think most under 30 employees, I don't know if they have the self-awareness to know what they know and know what they don't know.
Well, okay, I understand that point, that there's a lot, and I'm going from my own personal experience. There were a lot of assumptions there were a lot of things I thought I knew that I didn't know. And still, there are a lot of things I think I know, which I don't know, as you point out on a frequent basis.
Yes.
When the cameras go off.
That's the fun part. You guys think we get along.
So I think that there's a larger majority. I'm very, very positive about the current generation, the Gen Z.
I think they are incredibly smart. I think they have a wealth of knowledge and talents. I think what they need to perhaps get a little more practice with is the necessary skills. I don't like the term soft skills, but it's empathy, communication, all the transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, all those type of things.
So if I make this statement, see if you agree with it. If I make this statement, do you think managers are not okay because they think they should know this stuff and they're frustrated by the fact that they should know? And if they would just understand, this is part of growing up and learning the real world in business, and they want to do a great job, and they're frustrated because they're worried they're not doing a great job.
No.
Kind of like
No. I think the managers who exist now are in one of two categories. One, they know what they're doing, they just don't have time to do everything because they're managing 2 or 3 teams when they used to manage one.
the point.
Or they are these younger kids who think, oh, it's cool, I'm going to be a manager, and they don't have the skill set to be organized and understand what goes into true managing.
Right, because since the pandemic, the head count from employee to manager or person
totally different, and
completely different.
And they're hybrid and remote and asynchronous. Depending whether they're global, multinational, and that makes a huge difference.
I agree with that. Well, thank you for bringing this.
Well, you're very
topic.
welcome. If you guys have an opinion with what we said or didn't say, let us know. And while you're at it, while you're paying attention, hit the like button. Please subscribe. We can use the numbers. We'd like to get over, what are we, like 25 now or something?
We're still
on YouTube. We're working on it.
We're still not advertising. It's all been organic growth. And
so help us. Tell everyone that Rona is incredibly funny and Jeffrey just goes along with it. And, and we'll go from there.
Right.
All right. That is it for us. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler.
Thanks for playing with us. This has been Biz-Souls.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.